All right, are we waiting for commercials?
Yes, we are, of course, waiting for commercials.
Waiting for commercials. There's approximately a 30-second commercial before every Twitch stream.
That's about right.
So we are killing commercial time to fill the void.
Ha! The void. That'll be funny in just a few seconds, folks.
All right. Are ready?
I believe so. Yeah.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first installment of Tabletop Roundup, which is going to be a, well, let's just say loosely date-determined series of short games that will introduce people to various role-playing systems. The first one tonight is going to be Legend of the Five Rings 4th edition, which is the 4th edition of one of my absolute favorite tabletop games.
Yeah.
And I was going to give everybody kind of a little brief history of the tabletop game itself, and then maybe a little bit about the setting, and then we'll get started. So, before we do that, I want to introduce, subbing in for Amanda/Kethra, is my buddy Johnny /Kakita Yuri.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. He is also a Legend of the Five Rings aficionado, who knows much more about it than I do, which is saying a lot. So, that being said, Legend of the Five Rings has been around since the early 90s?
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It originally started out as a trading card game, kind of like Magic. And the plot was developed mostly through the flavor text at the bottom of the cards. And they would have various tournaments, and there's actually a big meta plot that developed with all the different characters in the card game.
Yeah.
And the winners of the tournaments would then sort of decide the course of this meta plot. So this ended up turning into an amazing broad story that rivals a lot of Eastern lore. Like, it's kind of Romance of the Three Kingdoms big now.
Oh, yeah.
There's years and years of developed plot. It's set in a sort of fantasy Asian country that's sort of a fusion of Japan and China.
Mythical Japan.
Mythical Japan and mythical China. And there's some other places, like, you know, they've got India kind of nearby, and but it's called Rokugan, which is the setting where we find ourselves today. More particularly, the place is Kosaten Shiro, hence the name of the game, Secrets of Kosaten Shiro. Kosaten Shiro is a Crane clan stronghold. Because in Rokugan, everybody knows, there are 7 great clans. And especially for all the people who are new to the game, there are 7 great clans.
Yeah.
They may have added some later, but those have been hotly debated amongst us old heads.
Yeah, I think the tension is just as much dramatic as something like Game of Thrones, where you have all these great houses vying for power.
Some lose status and some gain status.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of politics involved.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, where we find ourselves is in the year 1132. Currently, the 2 clans that we are nearest by is the Crane clan and the Lion clan. For, 10, 15 years, probably?
It's like a decade long.
Yeah, it's a decade.
Yeah. I mean, they've always been rivals, but
They've been fighting a somewhat bloody border war for various reasons, but also money and power and land. That has been raging for a while. However, currently in the plot line, it is wound down to more of like a simmer. So currently, hostilities are ceased, which is why we find ourselves buckling down for Winter Court. Winter Court has not started yet, but we are in late fall, at the turn of the seasons. It has not yet begun to snow. Kosaten Shiro is a fairly sizable city with a fortress in the middle. It's a major trading hub, and currently it is ruled by one Lord Doji Benjiro. He has summoned a lot of various local samurai to his winter court who've shown up for various reasons. 5 of whom have been invited to a special dinner hosted by himself on this very night. The first of those is
Kakita Yuri. So Kakita Yuri is a Korean clan courtier or negotiator. He's like a very wealthy man who is still a samurai. I mean, but he wouldn't be necessarily a bushi. So a samurai, being a servant of a nobleman, and a bushi being like a warrior. So I don't know how age-wise the character in this year of the story. I can't remember. I'm familiar with him when he was an older character, but I suppose he'd be in his 30s.
Yeah, we'll say he's a spry young lad now.
Yeah,
currently.
yeah.
Late 20s, early 30s.
Something like that, I would imagine.
So our next person is
I am a Kuni Shugenja.
Shugenja. Yeah, a lot of the terminology in this game is dense. So if I correct anybody, that's just the way it is. But basically, for us non-Rokuganese speaking fluent people, a Shugenja is sort of like a sorcerer priest. They kind of share the same role. They can just do magic and are priests. Yeah. So, Crab Clan, you said?
Yes.
Right. And part of a special branch of basically demon hunters. Right. So the Kuni witch hunters, that's kind of their MO, is hunting down foul Shadowlands creatures, which come over the Caillou Wall, which is kind of like the Great Wall of China. So, that brings us to Steven, who is...
Yoritomo
yeah.
Ichiba. And he's a Mantis Clan. He's also, I guess as far as socially, an Emerald Magistrate.
That's correct.
It's awesome.
So, I know, it's pretty awesome.
Mantis Clan is kind of country... Almost like a country sheriff.
That's
a good way to think about them, yeah.
He's kind of, like a roaming judge, jury, and executioner sometimes, very rarely. But yeah, the Mantis Clan themselves are sort of sailor adventurer types. And his job as an Emerald Magistrate is sort of to...
keep the Emperor's peace, right?
Yeah, enforce the Emperor's peace and really make sure everybody's... doing the Emperor's bidding at all times. So you speak with the voice of the Emperor.
All right. I believe I've also got a giant hammer.
He talks like this.
Oh man, we didn't talk about that. All right, Julie.
That'd be fun.
I am playing Kitsuki Akiko, a Dragon Clan Kitsuki investigator. So, an investigator from the mountains, right?
Right. Well, yeah. All the dragon are pretty much from the mountains. And it's important to note that in this setting, stuff like logical reasoning and induction is not really, done that often. It's kind of... using intuition is maybe more important than using logic a lot of the time, just because of the superstitious nature of everybody who's around. So she's sort of got, a niche position being someone who uses... investigation as a guiding force in your life, as opposed to, say, worship of the gods or something.
Well, and I'd assume, since everything's very based on appearances, to look past appearances and try to deduce things is probably not common.
Yeah, it's rude.
So, yeah.
It's rude to try and pry too much into people's affairs, for sure.
Well, I'm a very courteous investigator. So.
Excellent. That's what we like.
That's why they call
it
Western logic.
Yeah. So it's the closest thing to Western logic in all of Rokugan, probably. Sean, for the first time ever, is making his debut as a player. And I thankfully have a beard, which I'll be subbing in as a bearded foe for today.
But not the...
It's shorter, but vastly more efficient.
As
bearded foes go.
It gets the job done.
That's correct.
So, you are...
I am Kakita Yosai. Like my fellow housemate, I am a Crane clan who serves House Kakita. I'm one of their samurai, a swordsman of some repute. Most notably, I carry the Kakita blade, which is a great honor among my house. I have been summoned to this dinner. I know not yet why. It might be because of my reputation.
Mayhap. It's also important to note that the handle is actually a carved crane.
I would have it no other way.
Right. It's very nice looking. So, it is probably early evening. You guys are all seated around a low table. The room is very well appointed. There are several intricate tapestries on the wall. The places have all been set. You're sitting on the floor on little cushions, which is very traditional. They don't really do chairs. The only chair is on sort of a raised dais that's got like sort of a little, it's almost like a bench, really. Behind that, you'll see a daisho, which is the katana, the wakizashi, and the tanto, arranged in a cool pattern on a sword stand, basically. There's actually two positions. The other one, you assume, is probably for Doji Benjiro's wife. But he actually has position at the table as well.
I have a quick question. So I know that traditionally, or at least in fantasy Japanese settings, we refer to each other by our family names first. So I would be Dixon Sean as opposed to Sean Dixon.
That is correct.
So how do we distinguish between, because obviously if someone says Kakita, look out, then there are two of us.
Right.
So how do we resolve that socially without talking to someone too familiarly? I'm terrible as being a player.
Well, traditionally you would say something like Kakita-san. That's how people would refer to you, as like Mr. Kakita, right?
Okay.
You guys could probably introduce yourselves to each other and then say something like, you can call me Yuri-san.
Sure. And maybe for ease of the game, we just,
right.
Unless you guys would prefer to. But I think calling each other by our names with an honorific would be just as getting the point across, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make
And
it easier,
at some point, it becomes commonplace to sort of introduce yourself and then say, if you like the person, you can say, you can go ahead and call me by my name.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it works in Japanese culture. I know if there's anybody Japanese watching, forgive me for my ignorance, but I mean that's kind of how it devolves in a lot of the say Japanese.
We're pulling
films
our rule set from the highest authority that we currently have,
Right, yeah.
which is the L5R Player's Handbook.
And knowledge of anime.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen enough samurai themed anime to kind of get the gist. So that's what we're going on.
Okay, so we can distinguish for others between Yosai and Yuri.
Mm-hmm.
That way later they're not saying, Kakita-san, and we both go,
Right.
Right. The other.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So, you are currently all seated around the low table. You guys are positioned in such a way as to denote your rank. The Emerald Magistrate is seated first, followed by Kakita Yuri, followed by the Duelist, followed by our Priestess, followed by our Investigator. And she only outranks you because she's a Priestess.
Can I have...
Or a Shugenja, I should say.
Kakita Yuri, and what was our Shugenja's name?
Her name is Hiroko.
Hiroko, that's her given name?
Yeah, Kuni
Yep.
Hiroko.
Kuni Hiroko.
Oh, Kuni, that's right.
People still like you more,
I-
to be fair.
I shudder, but then immediately go stoic.
Yeah.
Right.
Kuni.
Yeah.
So, it's very obvious where everyone's from as well. People typically dress in their clan colors and usually have symbols on them that denote their station in life.
Behind.
The only other person in the room is Kakita Yuri's Yojimbo, who is named-
Probably silently in the background somewhere, right?
Yeah,
You know?
it's very silent. He is wearing a full mempo. You cannot see his face.
So his name's Daijoji Karo, and I think he would be like a big, imagine like a big, sort of burly guy, but perfectly silent. Like, I guess for player knowledge, he's taken a vow of silence. So, and for ease of not needing an extra voice at the table.
He in this game, you actually do not have to fight.
Right.
You can be a courtier with 0 combat skills.
Yep. Which I have some. Just
Yeah, you
a tiny wee bit,
a
but
little bit.
yeah.
You're not going to go over the Kaiyu Wall and fight Shadowlands creatures
No.
anytime soon, though, right?
No.
So you guys all sit down in your order. There's actually 3 additional empty seats. After a couple of minutes go by, a small handcart is wheeled in by a Crane Clan girl of about 14. She has sort of a bleach white hair that's been obviously chemically dyed to be white in Crane fashion. And you'll note that she has sort of a limp going on. She's not very capable of walking, seemingly. However, she will silently perform the tea ceremony, which is an elaborate ritual that you all as samurai know very well. She will pour tea for all of you, and she looks at you and says, "Honored guests, I apologize. Our Lord has been held, but he shall be with you shortly."
What's the trait for tea ceremony?
Tea ceremony is void.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yep.
In this game, tea ceremony is sort of the way to recover expendable points. So you can spend void points to do various things like reduce damage you take or increase the damage
Oh yeah.
of your attacks and all kinds of stuff. But the only ways to increase your void, or return it, I should replenish the pool, I should say, is to meditate, or you can get it through like just break, like a long break of sleeping and hanging out. But the best way to get it back, and the most fun way, is by partaking in the tea ceremony. Which you guys all have full void, but hypothetically, if you didn't, you would now.
Right.
Could we meditate during the tea ceremony? That
That-
seems like a classy thing to do.
That might be a bit above and beyond the Call of Duty.
More like
I
a
think we've
so-
got a lot of paying attention and
Right.
Yeah, it would feel like a
Just-
very solitary thing, I think, to like start meditating.
Yeah. You kind of want
I
to...
mainly just
Let's wait till you're like on a windswept hill sitting under a cherry
Under a
blossom
waterfall,
tree.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waterfalls nearby.
Rushing over your body.
we've all seen too much anime.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough to...
That's funny.
So,
We're all very honored to be here.
Is she? Yeah. Do we denote like her? Is she of noble rank as well, or is she
Yeah.
a low rank?
you can tell she's of noble rank. And
Is she a
she's-
family member? Which
She appears to be a family member. She appears to be performing a tea ceremony as a favor for the local governor, Doji Benjiro.
for Benjiro? Okay.
Can I introduce myself? I'm
may.
Magistrate Ichiba, and we're honored that you've invited us here tonight.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Magistrate. I'm glad that you were able to make it in such rough weather and terrain. I know the winter season is shortly upon us.
Yes, I think we're all looking forward to a little rest at Winter Court.
Indeed. So, she continues performing the tea ceremony, slowly pouring out all the tea. There's a huge mixing process and spoons, and there's a little teapot that comes with it, and it's very elaborate.
Cool.
It's very.
If
hard
I
to
notice
describe.
that she has wrinkled cuffs on her kimono, I say nothing.
Okay. You do notice while she's walking around, the reason for her limp is that she actually has clubfoot. and it is a genetic disorder that her leg is just not right, not built right.
And did you give us her name?
We didn't.
Okay.
I was trying to lead into that.
Yeah, given
Think
we're at the
about
same
it,
house,
yeah.
would I already know of her, or
You might. You
Okay.
might.
do I need to roll for that, or would I would think I would recognize her if she's noble born and
Yeah,
related to
you
Bajiro.
you probably do recognize her.
Wait,
It's,
are we Doji House? I thought we were Gakita House.
well, you
we
guys-
are, but
the
we
same
serve
clan.
them. You know, there are overlord house, like there would be high lord. So
I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah. So the
John didn't know that.
The Doji house is kind of like the supreme house,
Okay.
and you guys are sort of like a vassal family.
Sure.
Right.
I get it now.
the
Yeah.
second highest of vassal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I
right.
get it. Doji clan.
Yeah.
Okay, so Doji House clearly. Okay.
Yeah, Doji house, Crane
I'm tracking.
clan.
Okay.
Right.
Roger that. Okay.
Yeah, you probably recognize. You actually probably be the only one that recognizes her as
Yeah.
being.
Nobody else has heard of a high-ranking official using his power and privilege to hide his club-footed daughter from the.
It's not his club-footed
The
daughter,
nearest
but it is a
snowdrift.
club-footed
A
relative.
relative, yeah.
Is this the general result of inter-family
Yeah, probably.
relations?
Probably.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Is Shizue?
I don't remember her full story.
I don't remember her
I
full
remember
story
the
either.
character. I remember the
This
character.
you'll recognize this as Doji Shizue.
Yeah.
And if anybody else recognizes that name out there in
L5R
L5R
Loreland.
Loreland,
Yeah.
she's famous.
She's
for
a
various
famous character,
reasons.
yeah.
So she performs the tea ceremony, and you guys have never seen it done better. Despite her disability, she does an admirable job.
So I would bow very deeply at the table and thank her. She's away. This is exceptional.
Doji Yuri, it's a pleasure to see you here.
You don't
I've
understand?
not seen you in some time. You should come to court more often.
Oh, I'm not court, madam.
Then maybe I should be the one to come to court more often.
And he just sort of nods to her. If our Lord Bajiro will permit, I have gifts to offer.
I'm sure the Lord would be ecstatic to provide gifts as soon as he makes his way here.
Should we be waiting long?
I shall inquire. However, I was led to believe it shouldn't be too long.
He bows.
She bows back. The second she bows, the whole room fills with a piercing scream
Okay.
coming from down the hall.
Okay. I thought maybe it was her.
From somewhere in the castle. No, it's not her. From somewhere in the castle, you hear just shouts and commotions, footsteps running, all after this blood-curdling scream of agony.
Would it be too much of a breach of etiquette to rise to 1 foot? I mean, I'm going to still stay down, but I want to be ready to spring up should...
No,
Someone run
this
by
this
or
is
run
definitely not
We
normal.
need to protect
Okay.
her. Right?
So, all right. So I'm going to get. Obviously, my katana is wrapped.
Right.
So, but I'm going to get ready to basically unzip it and pull it out if I need to. Right. We're using the wraps with the ties at the top, right?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can.
The
You
silk
can.
wraps. Yeah. Okay.
I assume no one's in wearing armor,
Nope.
No.
and
I
that
would
we're all
be-
dressed for formal wear.
Yep.
Right.
Pretty much.
I
Or
got
as
it.
close as we can.
Snazziest
And I would only have a
kimono
wakizashi.
on.
Right.
I was-
Just a wakizashi.
I was not aware you had other guests.
A look of concern comes.
Is A man or a woman's voice screaming? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You cannot tell. It's been sort of mangled beyond being able to tell the gender. It's definitely a death howl. Somebody is not alive anymore after that.
Okay. Oh man.
Doji Shizue looks absolutely panicked, and she may drop a cup. Oh no.
Leave it.
No, she makes it. She makes it. She keeps a hold of her. She rolled a tea ceremony roll. She keeps a hold of a cup, and you can see panic on her face. This is not an expression that a samurai or courtier would have on their face very often.
Would it be appropriate to ask if there's a place she can, hide or or to get behind us or something like that to protect her.
She looks at the group of you and says, I feel as if something is terribly amiss. If you would, Mr. Magistrate Sama, if you would please investigate this occurrence, I will get myself somewhere safe.
As soon as she says that, I'm up from the table and over to the door.
Okay.
So yeah, and I would shout to Karo to assist him.
And if I have to, would I have to deputize, or could I do that at this point?
Sure,
in
yeah.
time? Yes. Since we are all here, I would be honored if you would act. That if I would deputize you and you could act with higher authorities.
We'll do our
I
best.
graciously accept. As a Craig Clan samurai, though, I feel like I've got all the authority I need to meet in immediate danger. But thank you.
He's basically what he's done is given you the command of the Emperor himself.
Great.
So he speaks with the voice of the Emperor. You are now the Emperor's doing his direct bidding by helping him
Great.
investigate.
As
This is a
soon
great
as
honor.
as soon as Dudoji Karo is near me, I'm assuming the door was closed.
Yeah, it is. It's a rice paper door.
I'll slide it open
Okay.
and I'm not going to peek, but I'll move slightly into the hallway and look in the direction that the screams came from. What sort of a commotion?
Okay. Outside this hallway, this is a pretty sizable fortress. The whole kind of bottom part is all like stone and it's built up and it's like a multi-tiered kind of pagoda style look to it. But the whole bottom is all a lot of stonework and it's a very fortified, heavy defense.
Was the banquet hall higher up in the pagoda, or was
The
it
banquet
in the palace?
hall. The banquet hall that you guys are in is sort of like more of a small dining chamber, and you guys were sort of invited to like a private dinner. You're not in like the large formal meeting hall. So you think that the governor Doji Manjiro's personal rooms are probably on this same floor. You guys are probably, if you're not on the top floor, you're on the second to the top floor. So you're pretty high up. So this was sort of a personal gathering he'd had of influential people.
Would he have had his own Jimbo house guards, things like that? Or?
Yes. And in fact, looking down the hallway with Daidoji Karo, you will note that at sort of one end of the hallway, it leads off into another end of the hallway, and you see lying in the T section, you see half of a guard, a doji house guard, lying on the floor, bleeding in a puddle of his own goo.
Did she say she did not have any guests or anything like that other than us?
You guys are the only ones that have been invited to dine. Whether
Okay.
there's been other guests, there's a bunch of people here for Winter Court because it's a big palace.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
So when you say we can see half of a guard, do you mean that
You
the
can't-
wall cuts off the rest
wall
of his
cuts
body?
off the rest of his
Okay.
body.
It's
It's
not-
like a
yeah,
half of a body.
I-
Torso and
yeah.
legs.
It's not torso and legs.
Shredded
Yeah. He's not cut in half.
I literally my guard.
Your vision.
So is there?
I knew I was gonna have to clarify. That was a moment. I knew I was gonna have to clarify.
So in the immediate moments after I jump out into the hallway, has anyone else gathered around the body or the guard? And do I mean, can I see anyone else?
You
there?
don't see anybody else in the hallways right now.
Okay.
Just the one guard.
So no one has yet responded.
No. This has probably been about 30 seconds.
I hesitate for like 2 seconds and then I go respond.
Okay. Who all would like to go with our?
I'll
Brave.
definitely
That would
follow
go.
her
Oh, yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Walk
everyone
as a unit.
storms out.
Is
And-
she like skittered off to safety?
Yeah. By the time you turn
Okay.
to look back, she's actually gone. She's
Okay.
very good at hiding,
Good.
which everyone who knows anything about Legend of Five Rings will know is very important to her character. It's a good inside joke. So
Awesome.
Only two of us know.
Totally lost.
she ends up hiding from this guy. And
Yeah,
it's
it's a very, very long
very long
story,
story.
but she's a cool character.
All right.
If she does
when
not
I get
ask
to-
for an escort, we will.
She does not.
When I get to the T intersection, who else has responded by the time I get there?
You get to the T intersection, and you have not seen any other samurai, but you do hear footsteps in the distance, like maybe that they're coming up from lower floors.
That doesn't strike me as right. There was one palace guard on this whole floor.
When you look down the hallway, though, you can see the rest of the palace guard, along with about 12 others that are all in the hallway and have all been killed.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, that's even less right. So 13 guards are all dead?
Yes.
So does this sound like the footsteps are on their way out or way in?
It sounds like they're on the way up to where you guys are.
Oh,
So they are
but they
coming
already
towards
killed
us.
guys.
No, the killer is still on this floor.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the killer. These are fresh. These bodies have just dropped.
And I say killer, but what I really meant to say was killers.
Right.
So this is like his
I do not
backup.
believe that one person could do this.
Yeah, whoever did this tore through these guys with precision.
And we didn't hear any sword against armor clanging. We didn't hear
Nope.
any other screams. We didn't hear the bodies hitting the floor.
Nope.
Dang, that tea ceremony must have been amazing. We were enraptured.
So we hear some footsteps, either coming to the floor or going away from.
Right
from the
here,
stairs.
it sounds like they're coming up from the base level where all the guards are.
Okay.
So-
When I look at the bodies,
Mhm.
what's the method of?
It's pretty easy to tell. I won't even make you make a roll. They all appear to have been stabbed through the neck.
Okay, so like a quiet assassination type death.
Yeah, some sort of small dagger. One of them appears to have a metal star sticking out of his chest.
Oh.
But that's the only one that's been killed in any other way.
I like to look out the window.
There's not any windows in this hallway.
Oh.
It's an interior.
Can I make,
Yeah.
as a samurai, can I make a quick inventory, just scanning over the guards and see if there's anything of note that's missing from their bodies?
Sure.
Did the person take weapons or money, or
Um,
is this just? Is there anything missing from?
No, they all, all of them except for the one with the star in his chest, looks like they had their swords about halfway drawn. And in fact, you can see them, get progressively more and more drawn out as the bodies go along. So it seems like they killed one with no sword drawn, and the next one with no sword drawn, and the next one who had 2 inches out, the next one had 4 inches.
People
just
started
out.
noticing, and then yeah.
Looking at that progression, where does it look like the killer went?
It looks like the killer went to the end of the hallway, which does have the symbol of the personal mon, I should say, which is like a sort
like
of
a sigil or a banner.
samurai
Yeah.
sigil. You can tell it's not only is he Doji clan, but it's also his personal mon. It's on the door at the end, and that's typically, you noted that to be the governor's bedroom.
Yeah, you
I
said
walked
his
that way.
quarters would be.
We need to make
I walk
haste
that
to the
way.
governor's
Yeah,
bedroom.
no, yeah, we're doing the fast Japanese in a hustle walk though, like the.
Well, with me a little bit behind.
That sounded more racist than I meant it. I mean the samurai anime hustle walk.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
We aren't
Walk
going
it
full
back.
Naruto arms, but we're close.
Yeah.
I was gonna say our arms flailing behind.
So
Nope.
is there any blood trail on the floor leading away from the bodies, like any drippings or anything like that?
Footsteps.
No, there's no footsteps in the blood. The blood appears to be perfectly pooled around their necks at their feet.
Even in death, Dave.
So no windows.
Can we quietly try to make our way to the?
Sure, you can.
I want to keep an eye out for all shadowy areas or anything like that.
Why don't you make our first roll of the night? It's going to be perception, investigation, keep perception.
Okay.
So whatever your perception
They'll
is.
all be on the
Front.
Well, she gets.
I'm
I'm
bonuses.
just
She's
double
an
checking to see if
investigator,
I've
she
got
gets
any
bonuses.
additional. No, unless somebody's lying to me, but free raise on all investigation
should be-
skill rolls.
That would be this. So
Okay. So
I'll set you a target number and I'll tell you what it is. It's going to be
so that's roll 5.
target number 20.
Keep how many?
Awareness.
Keep your awareness score.
So 3. So it'll be 5, keep 3.
And remind me how raises work. So when she gets a free raise,
Yeah,
as
that
a raise sets your target number, you can elect to set your target number 5 higher.
Right.
Is that
No,
right?
no.
You'll
Is your
get-
investigation 5?
so in this game
No,
you have a
My
system
investigation's rank
where you
5.
kind of bargain.
Yeah. So what that
with
means
the
is
game
actually
master.
it's going to be 8.
So you
keep
can elect to
So
make
it's-
things
okay.
harder on
It's 8
yourself
dice,
Yeah.
keep 3.
and
To get a better result.
raise your target number to get a better result. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like in D&D, if you were trying to hit an AC 20, you said, I bet I can hit an AC 25 and also get a bunch of extra damage.
Right. Or let me cut his
So-
arm off or something.
right,
I
or
actually
something
don't
cool.
have
Yeah,
And it
Additional
works. There's a
ranks.
lot of different
Yeah,
ways
none of us
to
do 'cause we're all
raise.
rank
You can get extra attack
How
for
can I be
4.
rank 5?
You can
No,
get
no,
an
no.
extra
These
attack.
are your
Yep,
skill
you get
rolls.
extra
Oh,
attack
wow.
for 4 raises.
N-
But
not
hitting
your-
an extra
not your
20
rank.
target number
No, I meant
is
for
pretty tough.
Oh, yeah.
investigation.
But I mean,
So
imagine
that
like a
higher
skilled
rank
warrior
with
like Steven's
additional
character
skills.
could nail it.
Right, but
Probably,
this is your
yeah.
school rank. So you're a freshman, you're a sophomore. You're a sophomore.
Yep.
And you've taken 5 semesters of investigation. How about that?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
As a sophomore.
We have not, as a group, played this game much, so we're
Or at
still
all.
Yeah, we're
at
all learning. We're all learning.
All right,
So
well,
you're
first
you will
roll.
learn with us.
Big numbers. Come on.
Big numbers.
Okay, I get to keep 3, right?
Ooh, remember
And
that
you can
those
reroll. Yeah,
that
you
those
reroll.
10s
Tens
explode.
explode.
So pull those off to the side
Here,
and
put them in mine if you
roll.
want.
Yeah, or up here.
So 9, that's a 9.
And then I get to roll
Bless
an
you.
additional.
What's the highest roll you've ever seen?
That's another
120.
10.
120.
That was
They
my
just-
cousin.
All right.
Can
Wow.
roll.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's 23 plus 8 plus 9.
23, 31.
Was that in your game? The same way
Oh,
you
should've
guys were-
raised.
Yeah.
Well, she got the free.
Well,
So
I
what'd
got
you
the
get?
free
You
raise.
got the free raise?
Yeah.
It's
You
Um,
got 40, you said? Yeah.
She
All
rolled
right.
40.
Well, I'll give you some extra
I
information.
got
then, 'cause
2
you
10s
blew
in
it out
a
of the water.
row.
That's
and a
awesome.
3. Yeah.
So, you notice as you get near the door that there is sort of a hazy smoke that's filled the room and it's almost completely dissipated. However, you can smell that it's not smoke from like a fire, right? There's no fire that's been burning. It's almost as if this smoke had some sort of chemical smell to it, almost as if it was created.
Yeah, like a smoke bomb or something.
Yeah, but you don't know what a smoke bomb is. But
I wouldn't.
no,
At all?
probably
I
well,
investigate crimes.
only in legend
Okay.
because it's a tool. I mean, you may have heard of something like
Well,
that, but
I've-
seeing it up
I would
close,
think.
Gunpowder.
yeah.
I would think even if I hadn't seen one or even heard of one, I would be thinking like poison or
Right.
Or
Well,
fire. One of the two.
the thing you do know is you've never seen anything like this up close, and everything you have heard about it has been talked about in hushed tones and sort of. It's been given sort of like a glaze of legend to it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So it's not impossible, but it's just it almost strikes you as a tall tale. But from the things that you've gleaned just from the things around you that you've seen, it seems as if these people were killed by
a blade.
a blade, specifically something associated with ninja.
So there's bodies in the smoke room.
Well, we haven't gone in the smoke room yet,
Oh,
but
hallway.
we're in the hallway. We're right at the.
So it's rolling or seeping out under a door?
It's
Or
seeping out
I
of
guess
the
it
door.
wouldn't be a traditional door, but it would be a...
The magistrate, I mean the
You
the
think
governor's door.
the governor's door, but you think this room was also had some smoke in it from before, but it maybe wasn't directly. There wasn't anything ignited in here.
So
that make
it's
sense?
dissipated at this point.
It's dissipated at this
The
point. Yeah.
governor's a magician.
Are there any exits?
Here, there
There,
could be a fire, which is really bad in a rice paper and wooden structure.
Sure.
that's true.
We need to get this door open and make sure that there's not a fire.
I'll stand back while he rushes in.
Okay,
fine.
I can knock it with my hammer.
Okay, so you throw open the governor's door to find a hazy, smoke-filled room. You see the governor's bedding stuff. They don't really have beds like we have.
Yeah, it's
like,
a tummy mat, right?
They have tatami mats. They don't have like
Yeah.
a big 4-post bed, but they have bedding, which is somewhat luxurious. The first thing that you notice is in the middle of the floor is the body of Doji Benjiro. Not only is he dead, but he is sort of gnarled and twisted, and his flesh is necrotic, and his it's like almost all the blood's drained out of him, but there's not any blood around him.
Everyone's
Like
behind me,
my-
right?
Right.
So they don't see my eyes do that anime pulsing thing.
Yeah,
when
it's terrifying.
I slam my. So if I've got my hammer up here, ugh, like, ugh,
Of course, you bring your hammer with you to dinner.
well, you know.
It was in his pocket.
It's, I
I
mean,
didn't have it out. I mean, he wasn't trying to
This
I
offend
may
is
need
anybody.
Swiss
to
Army
execute
knife.
somebody. I don't know.
I mean,
So-
he is Mantis Clan, but just for future reference, probably not couth to bring hammers to dinner.
Sure. And just for clarification, because of what Johnny said about dinner, I don't have my katana in the wrap. I just would have brought my wakizashi.
Probably just your wakizashi.
Okay.
yeah.
I most certainly would have, because
Yeah.
I don't think he would be the kind of guy to walk around with a full-fledged...
Right.
Yeah, you
Okay.
probably have your Kakita blade with you because it's a status symbol.
Oh, yeah, that's
to
true.
carry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's almost
Okay,
like a showpiece.
so I do have my Kakita blade
Yeah.
wrapped. Okay, that's what I was trying to clarify was whether I was carrying
I think
it.
he-
Because I
But
wouldn't
I'm
do
pretty
anything
sure I don't
improper.
have my Naginata.
yeah, you don't have your Naginata with you. That's a little bit cumbersome to
A
carry.
war
around.
weapon. Like
Yeah,
a battlefield war weapon to dinner.
probably not.
Okay. I would have gone behind you probably. So when I see all of the necrotic stuff, I would obviously want to check that out.
Right. However, there's a couple other things in the room,
Okay.
which I will soon describe. On the far side of the room, actually, the floor opens up onto a balcony. It has rice paper doors, like you would think has been through the whole castle. However, these are open. You see on the banister that's around the balcony, there's posts along at intervals around the banister that goes around it. On 3 of these posts, you see 3 shadowy figures standing in moonlight. One of them is carrying a bundle that appears to be roughly the size of a large loaf of bread. It was wrapped up in white linens.
Baby size.
It is baby-sized.
Okay.
And in fact, it is currently crying.
That's the strangest piece of bread.
Yeah.
Were we aware that, I mean, the Benjiro has an infantile baby?
Yes.
Like a son or a daughter?
You are aware that Doji Benjiro has, in fact, a probably 6 or 8 month old child.
Boy or girl?
It's a boy.
I'm sure we would have known his honored son's name.
Doji Bentaro.
Nice.
That's right.
A lot of Bens in this game.
Well,
Yeah.
Benjiro Bentaro.
Yeah, Ben.
There's a naming
Some of the
convention. There's actually a Crab Clan guy I like
Yeah.
named Hida Bentaro.
It's
Pretty cool guy.
Just like all the Bens.
Just particularly that one, but yeah, he did stick with me because I do like the name Ben.
I probably would have been in the very... Oh, go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say without. Okay, so I don't know. So samurai understand that Shugenja wield magic, right? So it's not.
Yes.
It's not. I'm not gonna be like all weirded out that somebody has used magic in here.
You are not sure necessarily that this is done through magical means.
Well, okay, but what I mean is
But-
I wouldn't freak out and be like, oh, witchcraft or demonology or whatever, right? Or
I
would
would
You
tell
probably
him
would.
immediately that
Or at
is
least
not
disgusted, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of why people
Fire.
don't
This
like
is
So,
combustion.
the probably disgust and horror would be your emotions seeing the body like this.
Fine.
Outside the shadow
Then
lands.
I would try to maintain my composure as much as possible, but I am going to unwrap my katana and shout to the figures on the balcony to stop in the name of Doji and Crane Clan.
They stand there and say nothing for roughly 2-3 seconds. You hear one of them begin to laugh in a foul, disgusting manner. At which time they all immediately jump down from the posts and begin running, presumably down the side of the castle.
I'll add to his statement as saying, "Stop in the name of the Emperor."
They Don't stop.
I
If
am
that's-
going
if
to
you won't respect
run
that.
across the room then and do my best to completely avoid the crumpled mess of a body that was in the middle of the floor.
How wide if it was the hallway? Because I imagine I would have taken likely the back into the caravan of guys running into the
caravan of
room.
guys.
Um,
It's probably 10 feet wide. Probably.
so
Ooh,
several
fairly-
people could
yeah,
walk.
it's, it's
Okay.
pretty. It's
So
pretty
it's not
sizable.
single file. Because in my
No,
head,
yeah.
I'm imagining a very narrow
Yeah,
hallway.
like
and now,
the smaller houses.
right.
No,
right.
this is a pretty big hallway,
Okay.
and these there were other doors that led off
So-
this big hallway.
I don't know if I would have seen the corpse or the body being so far back.
Right.
You know, I would have had like my fan open, kind of wafting the smoke away to see better.
It's pretty difficult, but I think at this point probably everybody can see at least the shadowy figures. Probably you can't make out what they're holding per se. You can definitely hear the baby crying.
What is his wife's name?
Her name is Doji Enko,
Okay.
and being in the back, you can't see if she's in there or not.
So I would shout, Lady Inko!
You hear no response.
So I try to make my way. Cousin, what do you see?
Three figures just jumped the balcony.
Was there another balcony, window, exit, anything like that in the adjacent areas or the hallways or anything like that?
You know just from general layouts of the way things are that the balcony runs all the way around the outside of the castle pretty much on this level.
Did I see an actual
Yeah,
something on the way to that room? Could I
had
run
you-
back out and go out one of the other windows to see where they're going without the
yeah, so
smoke?
they jumped off what would be basically the west side of the fortress. So you want to go to one of the north or east or south sides?
Oh, I was wondering if there was another window or balcony on the
His-
same side.
The Lord's rooms pretty much all run up and down the west
Okay.
side.
Just to go through my magisterial Rolodex of crimes, what would be the punishment for something such as this?
I can answer that one.
It's
Well, there's many ways to die.
Murdering a well-respected governor, kidnapping his child, along with the Doji house guard, and
Laughing at his third cousin.
really just laughing his guy.
Refusing to stop in the name of the
Refusing
emperor.
to stop in the name of the emperor.
Yeah.
And also, I would say just by virtue of being a ninja in and of itself is definitely a crime punishable by death. All of these things combined.
Like drawn and quartered death, or
Like-
pot of boiling water.
Like, probably
Or oil.
directly sent to Jigoku.
Okay.
Do not pass go or
So-
collect $200.
They were all masked and covered.
Yeah, you cannot see
Okay.
a single drop of their
They
skin.
were super shadowy.
They all appeared to have short swords on their backs, from what you could tell. And the two of you were the first ones in the room, saw them pretty clearly. They were completely head to toe covered in sort of mottled black and gray. Apparently, they came in some sort of camouflage for this sort of activity.
When I look at the body, you said it's necrotic and all that
Right.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I will call out to Hiroko.
Yuki.
Yuki Hiroko.
Yeah.
Kuni.
Kuni.
Oh, Kuni.
Yeah.
Kuni.
No, I think I read
It's
it right.
Japanese names.
Tough names.
It's because I'm scared of the Kuni.
I will.
I'm scared of Kuni too.
I will beg for her expertise in
Okay.
because this is something that I feel she might have, knowledge
So,
of.
Sean, let's go around the room. So you are standing near the body, looking down. Sean,
I'm going to move to the balcony and look
Okay.
over the edge and see if it's something if there's some way I can follow them. If it's just another balcony below me, I'm gonzo.
The roofs are all tiled, and they're all sloped. in
Okay,
sort of
so it doesn't drop down to the floor below us. It's
No.
actually a roof that slopes away.
Yeah.
Do I see them? Which direction they're running? Or are they already gone?
They're like shimmying down, and they're at this point they'll be at the bottom sort of part of the tiled roof, and they'll probably jump off.
I follow.
Before he goes anywhere, I want a clarification real quick.
Yes.
On my hands of clay, it says area self. Does that mean I can only cast it on myself?
Yeah, but I kind of figured I would bend that rule a little bit and let you cast it on other targets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I would ask if he wanted to be able to climb down the wall before he leaves.
Do I have to politely refuse this 3 times, or can I just
No.
say yes?
You can, for the sake of expediency, to save the young Doji Lord.
Yes, anything. Thank you, quickly.
Okay. So it's an earth, so I get 6k3.
Yep.
Are you gonna raise?
Oh boy, should I have?
I'll let you raise for multiple targets.
Oh,
Even after I rolled.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Who wants to go?
I cracked half a smile.
Sure.
Yeah, so how much would each person be?
So your target number is going to be... Well, okay, so what'd you get on your roll?
Well, I have 2 10s and an 8.
Okay,
That's my
so
figure now.
28. Now reroll your 10s.
Well, and you add the
I'm gonna pull these
onto
guys
the
out.
10 each.
Right.
Each
Yeah.
one,
Mhm.
right.
Pull those guys out. Move these guys out of the way. So 6 and 2.
So 20...
16 and
Yeah, 36?
Yeah.
Okay, so your target number is 20. So that will give you...
15.
Yeah, 15, 3 for your raises. Or 3 raises, I should say. So you can cast on 3 people.
Okay. So obviously you. I'd probably give it to you first.
Oh, for sure, those 3.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
What about
3 fighters.
What about? Well, she needs to be looking for clues.
Yeah,
and
she
stuff,
probably
right?
would.
Oh,
That's-
She's just looking
Yeah,
at
I
a
would wanna
body, and
go
all of a
the other
sudden
two
someone
first.
touches her.
Do you want to send Yojimbo?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Boom.
well, you said you're going to go around the room. I'll wait. You let them take it.
Okay,
Okay.
so...
Follow
Um,
them.
So we'll just go with the 2 of you and are you?
I'm pretty much following him.
Okay.
Tendrils all over the place. Do I?
You are
I turn into a lizard dog.
covered in a thin layer of stone around your hands and feet. However, it feels kind of like your skin. It just looks like you have stone gloves and stone boots.
It's gonna
All
stick
better
to roof
punch them. I mean, knife hand.
And you kind of get the sense that you kind of already know what the spell's purpose is.
Which is what, to run across these tiles without slipping and falling?
Yeah, pretty much.
Excellent, I do it.
You feel more connected to the ground, I should say. So you storm across the room and jump onto the banister and up over the wall.
Yeah.
And
I follow them.
down the tile roof.
Yeah, I follow them.
Okay.
I need to try to recover that child.
Yeah. Are we still streaming because our camera light's off?
No, we are not. Good
Oh
God.
no! Can you guys still hear us?
Oh, wow.
They'll answer us in a few minutes.
Knock on wood.
No, it's
Uh,
not just you.
Well, the good news is
Oh,
that
crap.
it's
We're
about
on
2 minutes
Wi-Fi.
from our
I should've
break.
done that.
Did I
So-
catch it quick enough?
Well,
Yeah,
good
you did
catch.
actually.
It
They
looks
can
like
still
it.
hear us.
They
Yep.
can hear us.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we're okay.
Well, we're about to go on break anyhow. So.
All right, perfect.
We'll let you figure
Good
that
sense
out
of
while we.
Right as the 3 warriors have jumped off the balcony to follow the
That's why you have that spell.
baby
I love it.
nappers.
I like this character.
And I'll work with you to examine the body while they chase the baby nappers.
All right, so I'm gonna stop streaming and we'll take our break, and then I'll get it back up and running before the break is over.
Perfect.
Okay, excellent.
Wow.
All
All right,
we'll be
everyone. So
back.
sorry
All
for
right.
that.